Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fred Christian Jr. I'm a disabled community activist and the founder of #Impact on social media. I'm going to talk about a few things and read you how many again. I know a few of you have heard it, but you're going to keep hearing it until the violence stops. And I'm sorry to say that, but we will keep saying this until the violence stops. And let me just tell you about how many. Wrote a poem exactly 6 years ago. 6 years ago in 2018. Wrote a poem 2 days after Valentine's Day. It was February the 16th, I believe it was. And background story was, I just came from a Valentine's Day party at the community where I live, which is senior citizens, and it was a very festive occasion. Turned on my TV to find out that 14 people, students in a high school, Parkland High School in Parkland, Florida, were killed by gun violence. And 3 teachers who heroically tried to save the students were killed also. I was devastated because I used to live very close to Parkland in North Lauderdale, Florida, outside Margate, and I went to school in Coconut Creek Elementary, which is very close to there. And let's just say it was not a fun time. Go from being that festive and happy on Valentine's Day of all days, a day of love, to that sadness and that pain. Think about this for these families. Every day on Valentine's Day, these poor people are going to not be joyful. They're going to have to remember their loved ones with sorrow. Yet, we continue this gun violence plague. We continue it. It doesn't matter if it's not securing your guns, which I'm going to show you a little prop here, which we can use. I want you guys to learn about these real quick since I got you here. This is a trigger lock, okay? You use it to lock your gun up and secure your gun. There's a law out there called Ethan's Law, which is being debated in the Congress right now. Unfortunately, it needs a little help, and that's where you guys can come in. If you're tired of our kids dying from gun accidents and unsafe storage, call your congressman and your senator. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, red, white, blue, pink, blue, or orange at this point. I just want to see some action because, honest to God, I am tired of turning on my news and seeing our children die from gun accidents. Our children die from unsecured guns. It's called responsible parenting, and I'm tired of seeing this happen. I'm tired of seeing parents cry and grieve, like my dear friend Letha Cheryl Bush, who lost her son Jack Brown III. And I actually have a flyer from Letha. Let me show you this. This is Jack Brown III, Letha Cheryl Bush's son. He died about 10 years ago, and he'd suffered a lot. He was shot 5 times in the back after getting in an argument with someone who ambushed him leaving a store. He laid in the middle of a street in downtown Miami in pain. His mother had to care for him after he got out of the hospital, and then he finally succumbed to his injuries and died, which was a tragedy which leaves his mother, Letha, heartbroken to this day. Again, gun violence. People having guns that shouldn't. People doing things with guns that shouldn't. There's too many guns. Buying a gun is easy. I mean, there's more guns than there are convenience stores, grocery stores, fast food joints. I mean, it's ridiculous how many guns we have. We have more guns now than people. Yet we continue this obsession. Why? I don't know, but we do. And it's sad. It really, really is sad that we do this. And we can't continue it. Our lives are too precious. We've lost too many children to gun violence, especially those 14 that day, which really woke something up in me and made me more committed to stop the violence. I always was committed to it, but I really, really gave a lot more and still continue to give a lot more towards this cause because it needs to. Our Congress needs to act. Our senators need to act. Our president is willing to act. Yet our state legislature, state senators and governors in some cases need to act too. In our local level, we need to. We need to have a total commitment, a partnership, local, state, and federal, with this gun problem at this point. It can't just be hodgepodge. It can't be, oh, you're going to take our guns. We don't want to take your guns, okay? Nobody wants that. We just want to be able to go to a supermarket and not get shot, or go to a movie theater or a mall and not get shot, or walk out our door and not get shot. That's what this is about for me, okay? I'm fortunate and blessed that I didn't lose anybody to gun violence. But hey, the way it's going, it could. I mean, around the corner from me last week, Miami-Dade County Transit bus driver lost his life in a robbery homicide, 5 o'clock in the morning, which is horrible. This man's just trying to go to work and someone killed him. I mean, really, people, yes, crime exists, and yes, we need to solve it. But really, with the guns, really, with the guns already, I mean, like my friend Susan Bullets Kennedy Nanton, who said, made these bullets like bracelet, which you see the bullet right there, said, coffins are getting tinier and tinier, and she's right. Too many little kids dying between the gun accidents and the shootings. Too many people living in fear. When's it going to end? I mean, Parkland should have been a wake-up call. I wrote how many, which I'm going to read to you, to make it be a wake-up call, and it still is a wake-up call for all of you. And it needs to be a wake-up call. I don't care where I'm going to go. I will read this thing anywhere, anyhow. I don't care if it's in front of Tallahassee one day, if it's in Washington, D.C., if it's in front of the Clark Center where I visited the Clark Center in downtown Miami. I'll wear it anywhere, anytime, because I want the violence to stop, and I want y'all to stop the violence too, and support us in stopping this violence. Make the phone calls. Be involved. Don't just sit home and say, oh, what a shame. Because I'm honest to God sick of this, and I hope you are too. Because I'm going to ask you a question I ask a lot of people when I do forums. How many of you are sick and tired of seeing the gun violence on TV? And how many of you have lost someone to gun violence or know someone who has? And how many of you are afraid to go places because you know you're in fear for your life? How many of you people are limiting where you go because you're in fear for your life? I mean, 6 years ago, we had a wake-up call with this Parkland thing. A couple years before that with Pulse. And a few years before that with Sandy Hook. But we just didn't quite get it. And we're where we are today. And we're in a logjam because the NRA has bought some of these politicians, which is ridiculous, to the point where they can't even be humane enough to do the right thing and stop this violence and save our children and save us. We need to feel safe. And what is it going to take for us to feel safe? I'm going to ask you guys that question and just think about it. And if you do watch this video later, please feel free to comment on what you think it's going to take to make us safe. But I'm going to say this much. Pray for our community. So without further ado, I'm going to read you how many. How many? How many tears must we cry? How many times must we say goodbye? When someone we love dies, how many times must we sigh and want to cry? How many kids must die? How many moms and dads will cry? How many Americans will cry? Why? When someone they love dies? Too many tears, too many fears, too few years. How many more will say enough? How many more will rise up and say enough before our future dies? Before it begins, how many will cry? So, normally I wasn't going to go line to line today, but I think I am. How many? Very simple question. How many people this is going to keep happening to? How many tears must we cry? I want you to think of a very prominent, great activist named Fred Gutenberg, who's on TV a lot. And he lost his daughter Jamie in Parkland. As did Manuel Oliver and Patricia Oliver, who lost their son Joaquin, who was a very gifted artist. And Jamie was a very gifted dancer, according to Fred. And these young people got their future snuffed out on them on that day, on February 14th of all days in 2018. And the people, their families are still crying for them. Like Letha's still crying for Jack. Like Tracy's going through it with Tracy Brown's going through it with her son, Louis Leon Jr., who still, both Letha and Tracy's are unsolved homicides. Yes. In addition to the Parklands, you got parents who don't even know who killed their kids. You got my dear friend Tangela, you got our friend Tangela Burns Sears, found her Florida parents of murdered children. Tireless advocate. Mourning the loss of her son, David Queen. How many times is she going to cry? How many times they got to say goodbye? I'm going to throw in Rose Butler, too, who's still unsolved murder with her son, Mendel, in Miramar, around the corner from me. Sharita Small, her son's Amari Luis Pierre. How many times are we going to say goodbye when we lose one of these people? How many times are we going to cry when someone we love dies? We keep crying and crying. We keep sighing. And then the next line. How many times must we sigh? We keep sighing, but we're not doing anything. I don't understand the logic in this. We can go to get angry about George Floyd and go do something. Yet we can't mobilize to stop shooting each other. Why is that? Can anybody answer me that question, please? Can anybody answer me that question? So again, how many kids must die? Little kids. I can name them. Jada Page, King Carter, grandnephew of my dear friend Tawana Akins, whose father, Santonio, is a tireless worker to stop violence in the community. You've got Chastity Saunders, Alana Washington, and you've got also, and Elijah LaFrance too. 5 kids right there in the Miami-Dade area that I can name. We lost to gun violence. And of course, my friend Shakita Dewberry Days and her family, who lost their child to gun violence. Shakita, we're thinking of you too. Thank you for all support, and God bless you for all you do. So we're going to say it again. How many Americans will cry, why? Instead of crying, why aren't we doing something when someone they love dies? Too many tears and too many fears. We're crying too much and we're getting upset when we should be doing something. Too few years, again, Jada, Alana, King, Elijah, right there. Too few years. How many more will say enough? I am saying enough, and I'm going to continue to say enough until this problem gets stopped. And how many of you are going to rise up and say enough? Come on, people. Make the phone calls. Visit with your legislatures. Have the dialogue with your local people. Have the dialogue with your police department. People, just please get involved. For these kids from Parkland's sake. For these kids that are dying every day, and these young adults. Please get involved for these moms. Before our future dies, before it begins, I'm going to ask you, how many are going to cry? Yes. How many are going to keep crying because we can't solve this problem? How many? So I want to say a special thank you to the Parkland families. This was for you today, Fred Gutenberg. This was for you today, Manuel Oliver. Not sure if you guys are going to watch it, but and Patricia Oliver. This was for you guys and all the other parents in Parkland. This was for you, Debbie Hickson, too, if you guys see it. This was for all the Moms Demand members who tirelessly work. This was for Poe Murray and Angela Smith-Weber from Newtown Action, who are tirelessly working with Kristen Song and Mike Song to pass Ethan's Law in memory of their son who died in a tragic gun accident. This is for them today, too. This is also for Letha Cheryl Bush. This is also for Tracy Brown. This is also for Tracy Lyons, whose son Marlon Goodluck died, too, of gun violence. This is for Tangela Sears. This is for Tawana Akins. This is for all, as Susan Kennedy Nanton or Susan Bullitt says, the forgottens, the aunts, the uncles, the godparents, the neighbors. This is for them today, too. How many? And I want to say thank you and God bless to you all. My name is Fred Christian Jr. Thank you all and God bless.